Hello, my name is Sarika.
And my name is Michael.
And this is Today in Years Past.
Hey.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, you guys.
Episode 5.
Yes.
Actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're officially over 1 month into this.
Woohoo.
So
yeah.
It's been pretty cool. Today is July 9th.
July 9th. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Some pretty cool things happened on July 9th, actually. When I was doing my research, I found a couple pretty interesting stuff. And I heard some of the things that you wanted to talk about, too. So I'm really excited to get into it.
Me too. Yeah, no, I'm really excited.
Yeah,
2 of my things are patents, but I'm very excited about it because, like, I don't ever think about the patents of things, of, like, how they came to be, but, you know.
Yeah, and the companies are people that use them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, pretty much everything. Like,
right.
In any manufacturing setting or any setting, really.
Yeah,
like everything's got a patent, I think. But
yeah, so
yeah, that's pretty cool. Also, today is Tom Hanks' birthday.
Wow, happy birthday, Tom Hanks.
Happy birthday, Tom Hanks. I actually didn't see how old he was, but
no idea.
Oh, he's 68.
Wow, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Tom Hanks. Also, today's National Sugar Cookie Day.
Whoa, okay, cool.
One thing I've noticed about doing this podcast is it seems like every day is a national something day.
Oh, yeah, totally. I feel like I already knew that before this podcast because, I don't know, growing up, I would always look up, like, what the day was. Because I was always, like, really interested in what people's birthdays were. I couldn't tell you what my birthday is, but everyone's birthday is a national something day.
Ah.
You know?
I don't know what my birthday would be either, but I am curious.
Yeah, that and, like, whose birthday also falls on your birthday. And so, like, my friends and I would always look up, like, random things like that.
I share a birthday with Dr. Seuss.
Hey, cool.
At least I'm pretty sure.
That's pretty cool.
I'm pretty sure his is also March 2nd.
Very cool. Nice.
Well, cool.
All right. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Doesn't matter to me. I'm ready to go. But if you want to go first, you can go first. I went first last time.
I want to go first.
All right. Take it away then.
Cool. Okay. So on July 9th, 1872... kind of going off of what you were saying about the sugar cookie, it's related but not, but the donut cutter was patented.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very fun.
I know.
I don't even know what a donut cutter looks like.
You know, I didn't either, but it's definitely changed since the original patent.
You said this was 1860?
1872.
1872. You know what's funny? I have a couple that are in 1870 today, too.
Ah,
yeah.
Interesting.
It's a big time for...
July 9th?
Yeah. 1870s July 9th was a big day.
Yeah, I'd say. So on July 9th, 1872, like I said, the donut cutter was patented. And by the mid-19th century, the fried donut pastries were pretty well established in American society and just culture. Because, you know, it was just like, you know, whenever you see like the old documentaries and like just old-timey America, like you would just see like people just wandering the streets and like having the little like sweets in their hand and like, you know, it was just very like a part of the pop culture of the time.
Yeah, I'd say it still is. For some reason, it seemed healthier back then, though.
You know, it may have been.
Yeah,
I could see that being the case.
Something about it. It's definitely different now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I feel like everything now is like...
processed?
Yes.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's
something in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But at that time, the donuts weren't the way that we know them today. Because whenever you look at a donut, think about like a 12-pack of donuts from Dunkin' Donuts. They're always like, they all look exactly the same. It's like cookie cutter, literally like exactly the same. But at that time, they were all not uniform and they were all kind of just like whatever size it ended up being because they were all hand-shaped. Every single one.
So everything was completely handmade. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I get that. Okay.
Because there wasn't any mechanical tool of any sort to make it happen. And so they really lacked uniformity. So Sea Captain Hanson Gregory is often the one credited for creating the first donut hole, or the first hole in the donut, around 1847 to ensure even cooking. And while that was true...
Whoa. Hold on. I have questions.
Sure.
Sea Captain and also donuts didn't have holes in them?
Yeah, no, they didn't have holes in them before.
Really? Mm-hmm. For some reason, that seems odd to me. I thought they always had holes in them.
No. So Sea Captain Hanson Gregory, I'm not totally sure about the sea captain side of it, but he wanted to put a hole in it to make sure that the donut could bake evenly, because you fry the dough, and so sometimes the middle part wouldn't get cooked all the way. And that could also be true for like donuts when you make it today. It's like specific types of recipes, but like whenever you fry a donut, putting that hole in the middle makes sure it's evenly cooked all the way around.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so
I get that. It kind of reminds me of like when you're cooking Hot Pockets and the middle is always cold.
Yeah,
Just take
exactly.
the middle out.
Exactly. Yeah, and so like all the crevices of the inside as well will also be cooked well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so, like I said, he was the one that was credited for putting the hole in there. But after that, there wasn't any standardization tool for actually punching that hole in there properly. And so it kind of just stayed inconsistent. And then also making them mass productions of donuts was a little bit harder because you're making so many by hand. And so this guy, John F. Blondell, was the one who created the patent and created the donut hole maker. So he was the one who like punched the hole in the middle. And so he did that on July 9th, 1872. He did that in Thomaston, Knox County, Maine. And he received the U.S. patent number 128,783 for his donut cutter. And this was one of the first mechanical devices designed expressly to streamline the donut production. And so, yeah, this was kind of like revolutionized the way that people would make donuts, especially for bakeries, donut shops, anyone that wanted to make them in bulk, essentially. Yeah.
Did this also work for bagels? That might be a dumb question, but like, were bagels kind of the same way?
No,
or?
and I actually don't think there is. I actually don't know. I don't think so. Maybe. But I think with donuts versus bagels, I think they're just inherently different. Like the way that you make them, and I think the dough is just different. And so I don't know if it would apply. Maybe.
I know bagels are more like of a bread type dough, and donuts are like borderline cake.
Yeah. Because whenever I imagine a bagel, I always think of like watching people behind like a bakery, like still making it by hand. Actually, I don't know if I've ever seen a bagel made by a machine before, now that I'm thinking about it.
I mean, it has to be that way, right?
That's true. No, yeah, for sure. Especially with like Thomas Street bagels or whatever, like they're making so many of them, so I'm sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, probably more or less. So Blondell's cutter, though, it basically had 4 parts to it, and I'm going to try to describe it as best I can. So it had the cutter head, which was a hollow cylindrical tube with a cutting edge at its lower rim. It had a central tube which guided the cutter through the dough, and then after that there was a follower/plunger. And so that was a solid rod nested within the central tube. When the cutter was pressed through the dough, the plunger compresses an internal spring. And so it was a very simple design, but it was, like I said, revolutionized the way that you like make donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure it would speed up the process as well, too.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So would this shape the entire donut?
So yes, they actually did cut the outer part too. So it was symmetrical completely all the way around.
Okay.
So if you imagine it, think of like one circle and then a smaller circle in the inside of it. And that's basically the way it was manufactured.
Yeah, like a reverse donut.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it would just basically like hole punch it. And so then you would take like a big sheet of pastry dough or whatever the dough was that they used for the donut. Mm-hmm. And then you would like basically hole punch a bunch of those on there. And so it made the process way faster.
Oh, I bet that was such a satisfying job.
I know. Can you imagine?
That sounds so fun.
Yeah. But yeah, basically that's how it would work. It would just do that over and over again. And then so the big thing about this process was that whenever you press the donut shape and the plunger travels down, compressing the spring. Whenever you release, upon lifting, the spring expands and ejects the plug through the central tube without manual intervention. And so it basically like pushes it out. And so that way you don't have to go in and like try to scrape it out with your hand. And that was what the spring was for. So that made it way more like
efficient.
Yeah. And like, 'cause before it was so time consuming, especially, I mean, doing it by hand, but even with like a cookie cutter, you wouldn't have to like go in and take it out and everything, because the spring would be the part to do that for you.
Yeah, it literally spits it out.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was able to like make you do it faster, and the repetition was quicker. And so that like just helped the uniformity, the speed, the hygiene, because you don't have to put your hands in and everything. And then also the scalability of it. Like you were able to make more donuts faster, cheaper, less labor, all of it, which is really cool.
And so is this, forgive me if I'm moving ahead, but is this still used?
That's actually a really good question. And I was going to get into that.
Okay.
That was my next point, actually.
I kind of figured.
So they are used, but it's a variation of that. And you would be surprised. I was looking into it. The one place that I really looked into was Dunkin' Donuts, because that's like the one, big donut maker today.
They're like king of donuts besides Krispy Kreme.
Exactly, yeah. And so I looked into them, and they don't use that technique.
Oh.
Yeah, they use a different type of methodology now, but it's like the idea of it, but it's different. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but it's like on a larger scale, and it doesn't use like the spring, so to speak, part of it. It's like it's a different type of process.
Huh.
But when I was looking into Dunkin' Donuts and the way that they were making it, I was surprised to find out that they were actually still hand making their donuts until 2003.
Wow, that's very recent.
I know.
Actually.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I wonder. Wait, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I don't think it was all of their donuts, but it was a good chunk of them, because they wanted to like keep that like hand touch of it, literally.
Ah.
Yeah. And so, and then I was starting to look into like, why is it called Dunkin' Donuts? And actually Google just spit it out at me. But did you know why Dunkin' Donuts is called Dunkin' Donuts?
No, I didn't know.
So they used to have a donut that had a handle on it. And the handle was you could use to dunk your donut into coffee. Yeah.
So was the handle edible? Was it like that was part of the donut?
Yeah. So literally think of a donut with like a nub on it.
That is so cute.
Isn't that so cool? Yeah. And then you would use that to like dunk your coffee or dunk your donut into coffee, which I think is where the whole stereotypes of policemen come from.
Nah. That's funny.
Right? Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. I would have never thought about that. In my mind, I'm thinking of you ever play air hockey? Mm-hmm. You know the pucks, or not the pucks, the little paddle things, and they have the little nub.
Kind of like
I'm literally picturing that.
Kind of like that, but it's not on top of it; it's on the side of it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so funny.
I know, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's why they did that. But
should bring it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, they don't really use that. They don't use their technique. They use like a larger conveyor belt of like making it. Actually, no, I think I might be thinking of Krispy Kreme. I didn't look into Krispy Kreme, but they use machines to make theirs. And so I think they use Blandl's technique, but it's evolved a lot. And while I was looking into it, a lot of bakeries and restaurants and grocery stores or whoever makes donuts uses his technique, but it's an evolved version of it. So it's not the exact one, but as anything else, it evolves.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Technology evolving everywhere. And it's technology you didn't even think about, honestly. Like, I knew that obviously something had to have changed over the time and since donuts came into inception.
Yeah.
But you don't think about it, like, at all.
No. Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah. I thought it was really fascinating.
It is pretty fascinating. Well, next time you go into a Dunkin' Donuts or a Krispy Kreme, take it in, because that's a technological marvel for them.
Yeah, no, totally.
You get your donuts a lot faster now, I'm assuming.
I mean, donuts in general is just like being able to make them in a more efficient way. It's just revolutionized.
Yeah.
Simple thing.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So, that was my first thing. So, what you got for me?
Pretty cool. Well, we're going to stick with 1870.
Okay, wow.
So, we're actually going to go to 1875. But before I go to 1875, in order for this story to make sense, I actually have to go back
even
to
further.
1850.
Okay.
But Bombay Stock Exchange was established in India.
Cool.
On today, July 9th, 1875.
Wow.
So, like I said, I have to go back to 1850 for this story to make sense.
Okay.
So, during British rule in the 1850s, India, specifically Bombay, which is now Mumbai, obviously you know that.
Yeah.
That was a major trading hub under British colonial rule.
Yeah. That's actually why it's called Bombay.
Yeah, I saw that. And was it because they just didn't know how to say it, or like they just misheard it?
I don't know, but I think it had something to do with like being such a big bay, like where like ports would come in, like boats would come in. I'm pretty sure. But
I mean, I could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did see that it was named Bombay by the British.
Yes.
And it kind of stuck. And then after the British rule kind of went away.
Yeah. Well, whenever India got its independence.
That's what I was saying. After they got their independence, and it was Mumbai again.
Yes. Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty fascinating. That's a story for another time.
For sure. Yeah.
For those who didn't know. But yes, so Bombay, just because it was named Bombay at the time.
That makes sense.
It was a strategic location on the Arabian Sea. It made it a hub for import-export businesses, especially in cotton, opium, and textiles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So some businessmen in India actually saw that there was an opportunity to profit off of these businesses because of the British. And they saw a lot of economic growth happening in Bombay at this time.
These were Indian men or British? Okay.
These were Indian men. And I was actually surprised by that too. I thought it was British colonists that started this, but no, it was actually Gujarati people that started this. Yeah. It was Gujarati and Marwari. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I was so close.
I'm Gujarati, so.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I was very fascinated by that. And just to put it in perspective, so this isn't the first time that stock trading had happened. This is an earlier time of it, but it isn't the first time. So stock trading had been around in the early U.S. in New York in 1792, but even that isn't the oldest. I saw in my research that Amsterdam actually had the oldest stock exchange going back to 1600s somewhere in there.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
wow.
which I don't know. I didn't look fully into it. So yes, correct me if I'm wrong, but I did see that through my research. I just kind of glanced at it. I didn't really dig into it.
No, you're fine.
Much.
I don't know very much about the stock exchanges beyond like the American one. Really.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how it all started.
Yeah.
Because like obviously they didn't have technology.
Right.
Back then.
So was it kind of just like trading pieces of paper, and then it's like
pretty much. Yeah. So like it was a lot of like face to face. So they would meet at a specific location, and then somebody would do like hand gestures and like yell out, "Hey, this stock is this much, and this is and they would. It's just fascinating how they were able to kind of correspond this data to everybody in that way.
It kind of sounds like auction sales in a way.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It was very interesting. And like I can't really imagine, like you look at Wall Street and you see like video, I don't know if you've seen videos, but like it's hectic. It's so chaotic. Yeah. And so like I'm imagining that, but without computers and technology, like how do you know?
How do you keep track of that?
Right?
I have no idea.
I'll get into a little bit of the details of it because the technology that was behind it is fascinating. At this time, though, in the 1850s, there was no technology to really keep track of it. They basically had to rely on couriers and even like pigeons to deliver messages.
Would that actually work? Using pigeons? Did that actually work?
That's what I saw. I didn't.
Because I feel like that's always been like a stereotype that you see in like little play movies and
like carrier pigeons.
Yeah,
I don't understand how you would be able to rely on a pigeon to deliver information at all.
I really want to come across the day that like the first one of those were used. I would love to dive into
Hopefully that's on a Wednesday because I would love to cover that.
Yeah. Okay, go.
So this small group began trading shares of companies informally in the 1850s in public locations like cafes and even under trees in the middle of summer in Mumbai's town hall.
Oh no, that was hot as hell.
I bet it was. Yeah. Especially in July. Oh my gosh.
Hot. Too hot.
In India too. Oh man. And so when these stockbrokers were coming together, one of the things that have happened in history is the American Civil War, which was 1861 to 1865.
Okay.
And this disrupted the cotton supply in the U.S. to the British. And so this actually created a huge economic boom for India.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, so the British couldn't get their cotton supply from the U.S.
Okay.
Their routes were kind of cut off,
Sure.
and so they had to rely on India. And so this helped grow India's economy significantly. So British were coming into India and then going back to Britain and then taking the cotton to their mills and then kind of like, you know, turning it into fabric or whatever.
Right.
And that was one of the trades that these businessmen were going with.
Okay.
And so they basically saw an opportunity to make a lot of money off of this.
Yeah.
And so they started meeting more regularly and kind of,
Yeah.
you know, it started getting more serious. There was a lot more people trying to get involved with this. And with the growing trade in bank shares, textile mills, and shipping companies, there was a need for formal, organized, and regulated platforms. So like I was saying, they were coming into very informally cafes, and they were just kind of yelling at each other about like what the sale of these like businesses are and stuff like that. And so this led to the formation of the Native Share and Stockbrokers Association in 1875, which brings us back to today, July 9th, 1875.
Okay.
So this is the day that it was officially established.
Gotcha.
So we're no longer meeting face-to-face. Well, we are still meeting face-to-face, but it's now more of a regulated thing.
Gotcha.
So when they were doing face-to-face and relying on handshakes and trust, people were obviously getting away with scams and stuff.
I'm sure.
So this helped regulate that.
Good.
So it kind of had a more balanced system here.
Yeah.
Nice fun fact, the BSE or Bombay Stock Exchange was actually Asia's very first stock exchange.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I had no idea. I don't know what other country I would have thought it would have been, but that's amazing.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I actually thought it was going to be like Britain or the U.S., somewhere in there.
Wait, so like first Asian or first ever?
Oh, sorry, first Asian, yeah. That's not Asian. Yeah. I think from what I remember reading, Amsterdam had the first ever stock exchange. Yeah, and so the Bombay Stock Exchange later became a foundation for modern capital markets in India. It played a crucial role in financing India's industrial growth in the late 19th and 20th centuries. And today, BSE is one of the largest and oldest stock exchanges in the world at 150 years old.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah. So it's not the oldest, but it's up there. It's one of the oldest.
Whoa. That's really interesting. Wow. And like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't really think about like India and the whole grand scheme of like stocks and stuff, because I really think about it just like in the American stock market, because that's the one I'm invested in. But like, yeah, I never really think about that. I never think about like how India has one, and I'm sure a lot of other countries do too, if not all, to a degree.
I mean, I didn't think the stock exchange was a thing at this time, because like I just didn't understand how it would work. But like I got into like the technology part of it.
But like the technology part of it is only a recent development, because that's only been in the last like 50 years or so.
No, actually it started in I think it said 1867 if I'm not mistaken.
The technology?
Mm-hmm. They had this thing called a ticker.
Oh.
And it basically printed out like this long strip of paper with the ticker symbol, and which is why when you exchange stocks now, it says that it's the ticker symbol. That's what it's known as.
Oh.
And so it came from this little machine that would print out updates of the stock and how much like it was worth and all that.
Whoa.
So yeah, I thought that was super fascinating. But that was created in 1867, I believe. And it worked, I think, based on Telegram kind of situation, something like that.
Very cool.
But yeah, it is kind of interesting how it worked.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah. I'll look up more about it just to make sure I'm not lying, but I'm pretty sure when I was reading, I saw that.
I believe it.
But now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm not sure.
You know what? That's what we're here for. We're learning things. We're learning together. It's okay.
Yeah, the Bombay Stock Exchange was the first exchange in India to be recognized under the Securities Contracts Regulation Act of 1956. And in 2017, BSE became the first Indian stock exchange to be listed on its own platform. And so being listed, that just basically means that the company's stock is officially allowed to be bought and sold in the market.
Oh, okay.
And for an exchange to be listed, that just means that you can buy shares of that exchange as if it were a company. So it's basically a company that sells stock.
Like, what is it? That, the one in America.
The NASDAQ?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple. There's a couple of exchanges,
yeah.
but the NASDAQ is...
S&P 500. That's what I was thinking about.
Yes, that's another one,
okay.
yes. So yeah, it's basically like that. And I had an analogy, like in case people didn't know what that meant. Imagine you're in a grocery store. It's a big grocery store. And imagine that this grocery store not only sells groceries, but they also sell shares of their own store. And you can just buy them off the shelf. That's basically kind of the same concept.
Why don't they do that? They should do that.
I mean, you could if you want to buy like shares of Harris Teeter or something, or like Whole Foods. You can probably do that. I'm sure it's a public company.
Yeah, I know, but like it'd be cool to be able to do that like in the grocery store. Like, I don't know.
You think so?
Maybe.
I think it'd be interesting.
It would be interesting. It'd be like a gift card.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know.
You know, fun fact, that's how like Starbucks makes most of its money.
I know, I heard.
I know it's a complete side tangent, but we were talking about donuts and now I got coffee on my mind, so I figured it's kind of related.
Yeah. Huh. That's a good analogy though.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, the BSE continues to be a key player in India's economic development and global investment landscape. So some extra interesting facts that I came across. So the Bombay Stock Exchange started with just 318 members and a membership fee of 1 rupee.
Whoa. And
I wanted to do a comparison of what 1 rupee would be today.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find a direct evaluation because the rupee's evaluation jumped so much.
It does.
And just, it just kind of like went all over the place. So I couldn't find really a direct comparison from 1875 to now.
Like a rough one, maybe? Or even then, no.
I literally couldn't find anything. Like,
Whoa, really?
I asked Gemini, Google's AI thing, and it said it literally said that it couldn't really do a direct comparison because the rupee has evaluated to so many different things over its lifetime that it's really not.
Oh, yeah.
Which is weird because I've done that with the US dollar and it's given me
interesting
a direct comparison. So I don't know.
I have no idea. I wonder if because India was under British rule, it wasn't.
That's actually part of it. Yeah, that was part of it.
Yeah, I wonder if it wasn't marked down as much and like taken down in history as well as it should have been, and so maybe it just got lost to history.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah. Well,
still though, I would assume that 1 rupee was maybe probably not a whole lot. Yeah. It made it seem like it wasn't. I could be completely wrong though. But yeah, sadly, I couldn't do a comparison. So
that's okay.
But today, the BSE lists over 5,000 companies, making it one of the largest exchanges globally in terms of listings.
That's amazing. And that's right behind the US, I imagine?
So I didn't look up the US. That's a good idea. Let me compare theirs real quick. So it says on here, the Bombay Stock Exchange located in India is one of the largest stock exchanges in the world in terms of number of listed companies. As of June 2025, it has over 5,500 listed companies. The NASDAQ stock market, on the other hand, in America, is known for its electronic trading platform and being home to many high technology companies. As of February 2025, the NASDAQ has around 3,890 listed companies. So the BSE actually has more companies on it.
Yeah. Like way more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know what kind of companies are on it.
Yeah.
But
interesting. I mean, it makes sense. There's a lot of people there. So a lot more companies, I imagine, a lot more ideas happening.
I'm going to look up what largest companies are on it.
Okay. Oh, I could totally tell you. I bet Tata is probably one of the top ones.
What is it?
Tata.
Tata?
Tata. I think that's probably one of the big ones.
What is that? Do you know?
They do a lot of stuff. They make cars.
You were right. It is on here. It's number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Reliance Industries.
Yeah.
HDFC Bank.
I don't know that one.
Tata Consultancy.
Yeah.
Services.
They make everything. Like you can go to India and you can see a car made by Tata and also shoes. Like it's so much. And then everything in between. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like electronics. They do so much. It's crazy.
How do they not have like a niche?
I don't know, but
that's crazy. It's the number 3 company on here.
I think they did really well in one and then they just started branching out. So I think they do electronics and like...
Yeah, their sector says software and programming.
Yeah, no, but they do more than that.
That's crazy. They sell shoes too. That's so insane.
Yeah, I think I had a pair.
Whoa, their market capitalization is $146 billion in US.
Whoa.
That's so crazy.
A lot.
Yeah, I didn't look this up before, but yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on here. I'm going to butcher this, but...
You got it.
Bajaj Finance? B-A-J-A-J? Bajaj?
Bajaj? I have no idea.
Well, I don't know any of these companies. But there's a lot of... I don't know, it's just interesting. Like 5,000 companies all in India, and it's... Yeah.
That's really fascinating.
The evaluation of these companies is huge, too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, I mean, it's not quite as big as, like, some of the NASDAQ companies.
Sure.
Like, obviously, it's not as big as Apple or anything like that. But still, for the amount of companies that are on here, there's a lot of capitalization in here.
For sure. Well, I feel like you'd also think, like, with the American companies, those are worldwide. I feel like most people haven't even heard of these companies. They're very
I've never
central
heard of
to India and the surrounding countries.
So that's
cool.
That's everything I've got with the Bombay Stock Exchange, and yeah, it's still there. It's still kicking. It's been kicking for 150 years. Doesn't look like it's going anywhere.
Doesn't. Not at all, no.
But that all started underneath a tree one day.
Wow.
Somebody was just like, hey, let's see if we can capitalize on the economic growth that the British are bringing over here.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, let's do something about this.
When you see an opportunity, go take it. So,
How many people was it that you said started it?
So it started with 22 people.
Wow, that's really not that
many.
many.
Then when it became an actual association in 1875, it grew to 318 people.
Wow, okay. Wow, those first 22 people. That's amazing. What a legacy.
Just goes to show you that, like, all it takes is just an idea and just a couple people following.
Exactly.
And you can grow something great.
I love that. That is a beautiful message to end on.
Well, I will end it there. What you got?
All right. So, like I said, I have patents because that was what interested me this time around.
That's fair.
So, another patent for you.
Cool.
And this one is a little bit more recent. So, this was 2013. So, we got July 9th, 2013. Oh my gosh. Okay. No. Try to say this 5 times fast. The Polar Princess Peach was patented.
The Polar Princess Peach. The triple P, if you will.
Oh, yeah, if you will. So, I did not realize how many varieties of peaches there are, but there are so many, like hundreds of varieties of peaches.
Really?
I mean, they're all like, they're slight in various ways, but like, and there's only a handful that are in the grocery stores, but there are a lot of variations of peaches and fruits in general. And so this one specifically was patented, like I said, July 9th, 2013, and it was named the Polar Princess. And the reason it was named that was because it had a creamy white flesh inside that was very delicate, and it was just very sweet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it was created by the breeder named Lowell Glenn Bradford in California's Central Valley. And the Polar Princess was carefully cultivated to be a standout among other summer peaches.
I'm just picturing her as like the type of person that carries around a parasol and just like daintily walks down the street with a big smile on her face.
I did not find any pictures of it, but I mean, she spent a lot of time in her greenhouse trying to make this happen. So yeah, maybe.
Sounds just like you. You should start making some peaches.
That. Yeah, I mean, my own type of peach. I don't know. When I was looking into the ways that people put the peaches and like how to figure out like breeding them and like crossbreeding and like making different varieties, it sounds hard.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's a lot to it.
There is, yeah.
Just like anything else, like
for sure.
You think about it for a couple seconds, you're like, oh, it doesn't seem that bad, and then you actually see the process, and it's like, wow,
totally.
That's way more than I was thinking.
Yeah, no, totally,
so
sure.
I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much power to people that like really put the time and energy into things. It's like you can make amazing shit like just by putting time into it. Oh,
for sure, yeah,
amazing. But so with this peach, it wasn't just like, sweet, and it was actually sweet and tangy, but I'll get to that. But it wasn't just like a really nice peach. It was actually really practical, and that was one of the reasons why she went about making it. It was a self-fertile tree. That means it didn't need a second tree nearby to be able to make it bear fruit. So typically...
Oh, so like pollinating. Like it pollinated itself?
Yeah.
That I didn't think plants could do that for some reason.
Yeah.
This podcast is amazing. We have been doing this for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And I've already learned so many things.
Yeah. Isn't that really, really fascinating? I had no idea that was even possible.
Yeah. I didn't know. This might be a dumb question, and I don't know if
honestly, there are no dumb questions on this podcast. Go for it. I don't know.
Like, is it rare for a plant to be able to pollinate, like self-pollinate itself?
No, actually, it is not.
Like, I really thought that every plant needed a separate plant to pollinate it for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay. So, yes, I was wondering about that as well. And I thought that a lot of trees needed another tree to like pollinate it to be able to make it bear fruit.
Right.
But there are a variety of fruits that don't necessarily need that. And peaches are amongst the ones that don't need those, like most popular to do that. And also apricots, nectarine, sour cherry, citrus, and figs. Like our fig tree actually outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was wondering about that as well. And I thought that was really fascinating because like, yeah, no, that's not necessarily the case.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really thought that you needed other... Whoa, I just got like a deep thought about like the very first tree. That,
yeah.
You know, like...
How did it come to be and like how did it like pollinate? Yeah.
We're going to get into like a deep discussion and be like, how are we here? How is anything real?
Whoa.
Space.
No, yeah. So in this instance, yeah, this tree did not need another tree. It just did its own thing, literally.
Cool.
Yeah. So that was a big part of like why it became very popular, this specific type of peach. But like I said, other peach trees are able to do that. So another thing that makes this peach very special is the fruit are very large. And so like not only is it like one, self-pollinating, two, it is sweet and the inside is like white and fleshy and like melts in your mouth kind of flavor. It's huge. And so that makes it also very favorable to farmers as well.
So compared to a normal size peach, a normal size peach is like roughly the size of like a small baseball. Mm-hmm. Is this bigger than that or is it?
I was trying to look up pictures and it says that it's larger. It doesn't say how much larger. I was curious about that as well.
Because I wasn't sure if we're talking like basketball size.
No. It like still fits your hand. Like,
okay.
Yeah, there was a picture of it, but there wasn't like a picture to scale. And it definitely seemed like it was like small enough to fit in your hand, but like not basketball size. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't palm a basketball. But that's fascinating. I'm picturing like a large orange, basically.
Yeah. Another big thing about why this peach was so great was because it was considered a freestone peach, which is basically whenever the flesh doesn't cling to the pit of the peach, which is an interesting part of it. Because, whenever you eat peaches and you're like, trying to like cut it apart, I typically cut my peaches like an avocado and I twist it, and sometimes it doesn't really come apart from the pit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just eat it like an apple.
That's fair too.
I don't know if that's laziness or if it's just convenience.
No, that's fair. That's fair. But with this one, you don't necessarily, like, it doesn't cling to the pit of the peach.
Okay.
The peach pit.
Peach pit. Oh, yeah, dude. They're a great band.
Great band. But yeah, that was another reason why it was very popular and was able to, people wanted it. The two parent plants that it came from was the white flesh nectarine, which is where that like white fleshiness came from.
Ooh, and nectarine. That's orange family.
I don't know. I don't think... Is it?
Is it? I thought it was.
No, I think they're similar to peaches.
Are they? I thought they were more like oranges. Oh, no, you're right. They're not. You know what I'm thinking of?
What?
I'm thinking of grapefruit.
Ah.
Those are related.
I thought you were thinking about clementines.
Maybe those two. They're all like the same to me.
Yeah, more or less.
I don't know if I've ever had nectarine, actually.
It's very similar to a peach. I feel like you could pick it up at the store thinking it was a peach, but it's not. A nectarine has more of like a darker outer skin tone.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But it has like the same consistency as a peach.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't think I've eaten nectarines very often, but now that you mention it, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was literally thinking of a grapefruit. I thought that was a nectarine.
That's fair. So it was bred between a nectarine and another patented peach called the Snow Princess. And so...
That's fun.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And the thing about the Polar Princess, the one that was patented on July 9th, was it ripens 2 weeks earlier. So that way you can get more for the summer or for the season that you grow peaches in.
Oh.
So peach season is late May to early October. And so this peach specifically blooms 2 weeks earlier than that. And so you get peaches for longer, which is amazing, honestly.
Oh, that's kind of cool. There's a lot of science behind growing food, like fruits and even flowers, anything like that. Like it's kind of fascinating to see the science that's behind it, all the chemistry and just like how to manipulate things to make it grow earlier or to make it taste a certain way or be a different size.
Yeah.
Like it is kind of interesting how you can just kind of make that happen.
No, absolutely. And like the way that they were able to cross germinate it and like the way that they went about this one specifically was by gathering it that summer, and then the seeds were removed, cracked, stratified, germinated, and then grown as seedlings by their own root. So there's so much like science that goes behind it, and knowing like what part of the seed to use and then like how to make it come together again to like create a whole new plant essentially.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
And that like people are able to make that happen and know what to do. So I just found that really fascinating.
I really wish we could have bought these peaches. I really want to try one.
I know. I looked for them online. I really tried, but
I would love to have one just to see what it's like.
I really want to try it. They are popular in California though, and so we are going next week, so we could try to find them.
Yay! Yeah, we should bring them. Oh, we can't bring them back, can we? Oh, we can't on like carry on or not carry on, but
yeah.
Well, yeah, let's go get some Princess Polar Peaches. Polar Princess Peach? What was it?
Polar Princess Peach.
Yeah, let's get some Polar Princess Peaches.
Yeah, so next time you're in California, listeners, yeah, go find yourself a Polar Princess Peach because apparently they are amazing. They melt in your mouth. They're super fleshy and white on the inside. They don't cling to the inside of the pit, so if that gets on your nerves, then this one's for you. Wow. And they're there for longer, which is really amazing as well.
That's pretty cool. I know we've got at least 4 Californian listeners.
Yeah.
So if y'all want to have a fancy little peach.
Yeah, definitely. And so, I mean, kind of just going back to what you were saying before, I feel like this is a huge reminder of like these innovations and patents don't necessarily have to come from labs or boardrooms or anything like that. It could be literally grown in an orchard, in a greenhouse, and just by someone with a green thumb. So
super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love peaches.
Oh my god, they're
honestly,
so good.
I just want to have a peach now.
No, I'm craving it now.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to grab one when we go to California.
I know.
Try
I'm
to find
excited.
somebody that has one.
Yeah, and that's what I got for you for this one.
All right, cool. Well, we will jump on over to our next one. Now, I know you have at least one topic that's in Chicago, correct?
No.
Oh, you don't? Is that next month or next week?
Next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. So my next story focuses on medicine.
Ooh.
And I thought this story was extremely fascinating. The more I dug into it, the more I just was inspired. This is so cool.
Okay.
So this is about the first successful open heart surgery.
Ooh.
And it happened on July 9th, 1893 in Chicago by Dr.
All places.
Huh?
Of all places.
Is that like a big deal?
No.
Oh.
I don't know. I just kind of thought it would be somewhere else, but I don't really know where exactly. But I guess medicine's happening wherever.
Honestly, I didn't think anything of it, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
The doctor's name was Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, and he performed one of the first ever successful open heart surgeries. So I'm going to paint a small picture for you.
Okay.
So the patient was a young man named James Cornish who had suffered a serious stab wound to the chest.
Oh my God.
Yeah, pretty brutal stuff. And the wound went through the fifth costal cartilage, which is basically like the rib area.
Yeah.
I don't know the specifics of fifth costal cartilage, but
yeah, I don't know either.
essentially it just went through his rib, and it ended up damaging his left internal memory artery in the heart.
Oh my God.
And it also caused a laceration or a tear in the what's called the pericardium, which
Okay.
is the sac that surrounds the heart.
Okay.
And the item that he was stabbed with also nicked his heart muscle,
Jeez.
but that actually wasn't the lethal part. Like his heart was,
wow.
like the heart muscle itself was nicked,
Yeah.
but it wasn't anything to the point of like it needed to be repaired.
Yeah.
What the really fatal part was the that pericardium.
Okay.
Pericardium, sorry. That sac around the heart.
Mm-hmm.
That left untreated, he would die.
Whoa.
Like he would need to
Yeah.
have something done.
Yeah.
And at this time, this was a very trying time for surgery because people died a lot
Yeah.
from this kind of stuff. So much, in fact, that doctors actually avoided working on any patients that had heart-related issues at all because it was
Whoa.
deemed too dangerous.
I mean, yeah, it's like the central organ in your body.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, and I feel like medical malpractice and like people getting mad at medicine because it probably was like Western medicine in that way. It was probably a newer concept, I imagine.
Yeah, getting mad and like what you're thinking is
Yeah.
definitely a more modern ideology
Okay.
towards it. This was literally because like they just didn't understand.
Oh,
It was at that time.
okay.
So this was in 1893.
Okay.
And so like this was before they even had like a good
Oh, okay. Like a good
process to like
Yeah.
even work on a heart. Like they
Gotcha.
didn't even really understand like how the heart worked
Gotcha.
yet. So it was honestly pretty scary for this guy. Like this was a death sentence to
Wow.
most people. Like
Yeah.
he was going to die.
Jeez. So I guess it was like, I mean, we might as well try.
Well, I'll get into it. But so while the heart muscle wound was minor, the lacerated pericardium was the most serious issue, as this was very dangerous and he
Yeah.
could die from this. Repairing this tear was vital for Cornish's survival. So Cornish was in a state of shock, naturally, and
Understandable.
losing a lot of blood very quickly. So Dr.
Yeah.
Williams needed to make a decision fast.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, with this not being done before and, like, them not understanding things, how did they go about practicing before, or, like, even knowing what to do?
That's a great question. Honestly, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because, like, there really wasn't nobody would work on hearts.
Right.
Because it just wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But Dr. Williams was really ahead of his time. Like,
Whoa. Okay.
he understood a lot of things that doctors kind of neglected. He understood how to take care of his tools, how to take care of his patients, how to take care of himself.
Amazing.
And I didn't mention this, but he was African American. He was a pioneering African American surgeon and founder of Provident Hospital, the first
Whoa.
interracial hospital in Chicago.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the story just gets more and more
Inspiring, really.
Yeah. Like I thought it was very incredible, and I'll just keep getting into it. It's a fascinating story, honestly. Operating on a human heart was considered too dangerous at the time, and medical textbooks at the time also warned against it heavily. Operating on the heart was considered incredibly risky, and there was a high chance of infection and death. Many medical professionals believed that surgery on the heart was simply not feasible and should be avoided at all costs.
Yeah.
The anatomy and physiology of the heart were not fully understood, making it difficult to develop effective surgical techniques.
Oh.
So it wasn't practiced at all because
Really?
people thought it was too dangerous.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand how the heart actually functioned.
It's fascinating that was in the textbooks, too.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's so crazy to see. Well, Dr. Williams is actually the person who really started it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
the other doctors were like, they were very
I'm not gonna mess
skeptical
with
at
that.
first.
Yeah.
But like a lot of other, like after this procedure, doctors started to really question their own practice and be like, well, this seems like it's possible. Like he had done it.
Right.
It worked. It's got to be possible. And so
Yeah.
this really pushed forward new advances in technology to help keep people alive during surgery,
Yeah.
to slow heart rates down, even stop hearts, but keep people alive momentarily on a machine. And like it really just kind of propelled this thought process that like maybe we should move ahead of this thought that, oh, it's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, I'm sure that was like a huge push in the medical field of like, you know, because I feel like every so often there's a new concept that comes into the forefront and it's just like everyone rethinks things. And I think that's really good to be able to like have that push of like, there's new ways to do this. There's like, rethinking the methodologies and all of that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what Dr. Williams did.
Yeah.
He really pushed forward that idea of, just attempt this thing. Let's see what happens and try to build up from there. And I will say, like, the one thing I did think about is in any other circumstance, like if you're going to go start your own business or if you're going to take a chance on learning a new skill, like you are the end product. Like it's on you. Like if you start a business and it fails, it's you that ends up, under. It's you that has to deal with those consequences. Yeah. In this case, Cornish, James Cornish, the patient here, he is the victim at this point. Like if this doesn't go well, Dr. Williams' career is on the line. Like if this doesn't work, and he dies, then his whole career is pretty much, people aren't going to respect him. People aren't going to trust him.
Was this his first attempt or?
This was not the first attempt.
Okay.
However,
so then people had tried it before then.
People have tried it before, but all have failed.
Okay.
And that's why so many medical textbooks say
don't do it.
Not to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
I will say that I did come across a story. There was another doctor that did have a successful open heart surgery. However, it wasn't really documented as well as Dr. Williams's was.
Okay.
So Dr. Williams is kind of more so credited for the first open heart surgery, and so that's why I'm focusing more on his story.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, Dr. Daniel Williams was a pioneering African American surgeon and the founder of Provident Hospital, which was the first interracial hospital in Chicago. In spite of his colleagues in medical training, textbooks advising against heart-related procedures, Dr. Williams did decide to try and save this man's life.
Yeah.
James Cornish was given anesthesia. However, it's not the same form of anesthesia that we know of today. It doesn't put the patient into a deep sleep or stop their heart. There was no modern heart-lung machine available back then, in modern medical practices. So this patient, James Cornish, was still slightly conscious, and the heart was still beating during this actual surgery.
Whoa.
So Dr. Williams had to, kind of go with the beat of this man's heart. His heart was slowed down a lot, but it was still beating. So he had to be very focused.
Yeah. And the guy was, slightly awake, too.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I kind of think about that So I've got my wisdom teeth pulled.
Yeah.
And I actually woke up in the middle of it. And that slight moment where I woke up in the middle of it, I'm imagining that this is what James is probably feeling.
But with his literal chest open.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's terrifying.
Yeah,
this had to be so scary. Well, I mean, it was scary either way for James.
Yeah.
He might as well go through with the surgery because either if he doesn't, he's going to die anyway.
I was going to say, yeah.
So,
Oh, man. But, I just can't even imagine. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's crazy. This story is wild.
Yeah.
Dr. Williams cut open James Cornish's chest and created a trap door to the beating heart. Williams carefully sutured the wound in the pericardium using catgut. And for those who don't know, a suture is a material or thread used by surgeons to close a wound, kind of like when you need stitches.
Okay.
And catgut is a type of natural surgical suture material made from the processed intestines of animals, most commonly sheep or cattle. Despite the name, it's not made from cats.
Okay.
So there wasn't really a good, I couldn't find really anything about why it's called catgut.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of is that cat might be abbreviated for cattle.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Maybe it's Latin for something.
Yeah, probably. Catgut sutures are absorbable, meaning that the body's natural enzymes can break them down over time, and this eliminates the need for the suture to be removed later on.
Gotcha.
Which is particularly beneficial for internal stitches or in rapidly healing tissues. So they went with this catgut material.
Gotcha.
So that it would break down in the body, and they didn't have to worry about it.
Ah.
And I didn't know this, but apparently catgut has been used in surgery for centuries, with the earliest record dating back to the 3rd century by a Greek physician And in the 19th century, it gained popularity as a replacement for silk and hemp sutures, which were associated with inflammation and bleeding.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Because then this one is like, it's more of a coming from a body of some sort.
And it breaks down in the body, and
it like the human body recognizes it more so than like silk.
And it's less prone to infections and internal bleeding and that kind of thing.
That's so fascinating.
I know, right? And it's interesting that it has been used for that amount of time, like the 3rd century. Like, how did they... I'm fascinated by that
for sure
in its own right, because that... It's
like,
just
how did they know
insane.
to use that? Like, where did it come? Like, how? What?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
The only thing
that was so long ago.
Yeah, 3rd century.
Whoa.
So, I just thought that was really cool. So that's a whole story in itself. Talking about Greek surgeries, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Very cool.
So. It's also worth mentioning that doctors back then did not fully understand the importance of hygiene for medical practices. Doctors would typically not wash their hands or even sterilize their used tools.
Oh, no.
Their coats were often dirty and never washed after surgeries and were stained with all types of fluid from previous patients.
Ugh.
Yeah, so
hygiene really wasn't a thing. I think people took baths like once a year back then, so.
Yeah, so like it's...
and
doctors had this kind of like ideology that like they were above everybody. They didn't need to wash their hands, that kind of thing. So, which was a problem because that caused infections
for sure. Yeah,
there was limited to no understanding about transferring germs, and so infections during or after surgeries were very common. Luckily, Dr. Williams was an early adopter of good medical hygiene, understood the early studies of germ transmissions, and made sure to sterilize his equipment before and after surgeries, which allowed him to perform more complex procedures.
Good for him.
So not only was he like pioneering the hospital, the interracial hospital, but he was also creating, like
new standards.
A standard. Yeah. And so I guess other doctors were kind of taking note, like, hey, your patients are actually surviving.
Yeah.
What are you doing different?
And long term, too, I'm sure. Because I'd be like a week later and it's like you have something like a fluid inside of you that shouldn't be inside of you because there was something on your doctor's coat.
Right? It's gross. But, I mean, that's thank God for modern Western medicine.
My gosh. Man. Yeah.
After the surgery, Dr. Williams stitched up the opening and made sure to treat them the best he could at the time. Antibiotics were not yet discovered, so James did not receive anything to fight off possible infections. James Cornish stayed in the hospital for 51 days before fully healing. To put that in perspective, today's heart surgery patients, they're in the hospital for recovery times within around 3 to 7 days, and after that they go home. Yeah.
Whoa.
So James was there for 51 days. He was there for almost 2 months.
I mean, that is a long time, but like for the first one, that's really not bad.
Well, they didn't think he was going to survive.
Yeah, that too.
Like this is the first time this is... it's not the first time it's been done, but it's the first time that a patient was like, okay, after a week or two, and they were like, okay.
Interesting.
So,
I wonder also if the survival rate of him being able to, I mean, obviously not taking anything away from this doctor, but like, I wonder if because it was a stab and not like something inherently wrong with his heart or like a, disease or something like that. Like, I wonder if his chances went up a little bit.
I would almost disagree with that. I would say an external damage to the heart is probably significantly harder and worse to treat than an internal, like a clogged artery or something.
Yeah. Huh.
But I don't know. That's just me. That's just my perspective. The only reason I think that is because you're actually damaging the tissue.
Fair, yeah.
And on the inside, like there could be a blockage.
Sure.
I don't know if they had a way to treat that back then.
No idea.
Probably not. I don't know though.
I don't know.
But in my head, I could be completely wrong, by the way. I don't know.
I mean, I don't either.
Just from my thought process, I feel like an external injury, like a stab wound to the heart, would be worse than an internal problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really taken any medical courses of any sort.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. Like I don't know anything about the medical industry, but it's a fascinating and scary world.
For sure. Yeah. I couldn't do it. So much power to people that can.
Yeah, seriously. Much respect for people that can do it. James Cornish survived the surgery and lived for another 20 years.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. And so this was a groundbreaking achievement in surgery, particularly given the limited medical technology at the time. There were no x-rays, no antibiotics, and no advanced anesthesia. As an African-American surgeon in a racially segregated society, Williams faced prejudice and discrimination throughout his career.
I believe it.
He founded the Provident Hospital because black doctors and nurses were often excluded from training and employment at existing hospitals. So not only was he pioneering medical practices, but he was also pioneering equality and bringing African-American workers to his hospital and giving them a job and an opportunity.
Yeah.
And so he was doing a lot of stuff.
My God. Wow. This guy was like pioneering, just revolutionizing civil rights, medical rights, it's just everything. Wow. Yeah. Why is this guy not talked about more often? That's crazy.
I think he is kind of referenced more now in medical textbooks, but you and I probably wouldn't hear about it because we're not. But this is a good topic to bring up. I wonder if if you go to medical school, I wonder if Dr. Williams is a topic of discussion, like his foundings and stuff. I wonder if that is... I would hope so.
Yeah. If any of our listeners are medical students, let us know.
Yeah, big shout out to the medical students.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. I really hope so. I do hope so.
Despite the success of the operation, some colleagues may have been hesitant to accept Williams's feat, given the prevailing view that heart surgery was too dangerous. Williams' successful surgery challenged established medical opinions and practices, potentially leading to some resistance from those who were reluctant to embrace new ideas. So even though he was successful, there was a lot of people that were very skeptical and still didn't believe in his practice to work on a heart. And so he got a lot of ridicule for it, but he also got a lot of praise.
Okay.
So
I mean, I feel like that's so many things whenever you're like breaking boundaries and like breaking like glass, like shatter. I feel like that's very true whenever you're shattering glass ceilings. It's like you're going to get people on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
Dr. Williams' accomplishment helped pave the way for modern cardiovascular surgery and is celebrated as a significant milestone in the medical history.
Absolutely, I'm sure.
And yeah, I thought his story was incredible. I thought the fact that he opened up his own hospital in a racially segregated society, gave people jobs, and was bold enough to go against the norm.
Yeah, that's incredible.
To pioneer open heart surgery and succeed. Yeah. This guy is just fascinating. Like, I thought this was an incredible story, and I really respect Dr. Williams' work. I think he honestly is one of, if not the first person to pioneer the modern medical practices that we know today on heart surgery.
Yeah, absolutely. An absolute icon. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, like, somebody's got to start it, right? Like,
exactly.
It's got to start somewhere. When everybody's too scared to step up, there's got to be that one person that's like, I can take the rein, I can make this happen, and that's what he did. And now we have,
so
much
many people.
More.
Yeah. So many people can thank him for that willingness to be able to push the boundary to say, like, no, I'm going to do this. Because I don't know how many people get heart surgeries a year, but, like, I'm sure the number's not super low. And so some people are alive because of him. Yeah, well, it's definitely more common now than it was back then. But still, like, I mean, just if anything, like, the takeaway I got from this story is, like, be bold. Do the things you believe in. And if you want to succeed, you will find any way to do that. Yeah. And I love that story. I thought it was so cool, but that's all I got. No, that's amazing. And despite like what anyone says, just keep pushing forward and you will succeed and, take risks. Yeah. 'Cause you never know what'll happen. Yeah. Ah, that's wonderful. That's really amazing. I love that. So my last story took place on July 9th, 2018. So a little bit more recent, a lot more recent than yours. But on July 9th, 2018, the oldest biological color ever recorded was founded. I remember you briefly talked about this, and I was really excited.
So I'm ready. What is this biological color?
Okay. I want you to guess, actually, what this biological color is, because I don't think you will, but I want you to guess.
Okay, well, with that said, it's definitely not purple, because that's my favorite color. So I know it's not that.
Okay.
And is it like a normal color? Is it like red, green, blue, something like that? Or is it like a really weird name?
No, it's a color that you would think.
Really?
Not what you would think, but like it's a color that's not a weird name.
It's a color that's not a weird name. Is it pink?
Yeah!
Really?
Yeah!
Let's go. That's the second time on this podcast I got something right.
Love that. Yeah. It was
Very
pink.
Cool. Nice. Wow, that was a complete guess. I knew you were talking about the bio. I swear to God, I didn't look it up.
That's amazing. Okay, so a team led by the Australian National University revealed that they found the oldest biological color ever recorded. It was a vivid pink. It was pigments trapped in 1.1 billion-year-old rocks found deep beneath the Sahara Desert.
In the Sahara?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
I know. Okay,
so was this a, like, fossil? Well, obviously it was a fossil, right?
I will go into that. I will, All
right, I'm getting overexcited.
No, I know. Actually, it's in my next little segment right here. So this really rewrote our timeline for when pigments first appeared in fossil record, and it pushed our understanding back more than 500 million years.
Whoa.
And I'll go into that a little bit more, but yes, it wasn't a fossil. So the story begins roughly a decade ago when an oil exploration punched holes hundreds of feet into the black shales of the, I'm going to try this, Tawindi Basin in Maura. I have the pronunciation.
Oh, is this the thing you were playing earlier? I kept hearing that. I was like, what are you playing?
It's Mauritania, West Africa. And so basically what they were doing was looking for oil, and they used boreholes, which are basically long, narrow, cylindrical, like cylinders that they would bore into the earth.
Right.
Looking for oil. And so
so this was an accident.
No, so they were looking. Well, it was an accident they found it. It wasn't an accident that they were putting the holes.
Right, but I mean, like them finding this fossil with the color, that was an accident because they were there for a different purpose.
Yes, yeah.
Interesting.
Right? I thought that was really cool. But basically, they whenever they took those boreholes out of the earth, the ground would have to come out with it to be able to like see what's below. And so whenever they took all of that out, it unearths a bunch of stuff that has been underground for a very, very long time.
You know, it's interesting. The company I work for now, they actually do this.
Really?
They bore into the ground because they need to figure out if the ground is going to be able to hold.
Yeah.
So I work for a company that installs solar panels, like massive solar panels for like farms, solar farms. And they have to do ground testing to make sure that the ground piles are going to stay steady and not, fall over.
Like withstand it.
Yeah, exactly. And so they have to core into the ground, and they pull out these.
Like
they're basically just core.
Yeah.
It's just dirt, like basically in a cylinder form.
Exactly.
Is what they pull out.
Yeah. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So the team from the Australian National University got a hold of those cores, and they found themselves holding material that laid down some 1.1 billion years ago. And this was long before any complex animals were ever evolved.
Wow.
Isn't that fascinating?
That is really cool.
Yeah. Like you're literally...
So this must have been like an oceanic creature.
Yes, actually. Yeah. I love that you said that. But I just think it's so fascinating that like you're literally holding something that is older than like pretty much all living things on Earth. Like, isn't that's so fascinating?
Yeah. Do you have a picture? Sorry.
I do have a picture of it.
I want to see it later.
I definitely will show you, and I will post it to the Instagram. But yeah, so what they did was they dug into those ancient rocks, and it was specifically the work of a PhD student, and she grounded that shale into a fine powder and ran it through organic solvents. and was astonished to find out it looked like a neon pink oil.
Neon pink?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
I looked at the picture. I wouldn't say neon pink. I would say more like a bubblegum pink color, but
That's
still.
kind of what I was picturing. Yeah.
Yeah. So those pigments turned out to be, I'm going to try to pronounce this, porphins. It's porphyrins.
That sounds right. Porphins,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
And those are basically stable fragments of chlorophyll once produced by photosynthesizing microbes. And
Whoa.
so porphins in their concentrated form ranges from a deep blood red to a purple. And so then they diluted them just a bit and they glow a bright pink color. And actually, they jokingly compared it to a bubblegum pink color, which I think is more like that, not neon pink, but regardless, pink. So, and whenever it was held up to the sunlight, it would really shine that way. And that was the big thing that like really caught headlines worldwide on July 9th, 2018.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you said it was 2018. This is like really
Pretty
not
recent.
that long
Yeah.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So the researchers note, and this is a little like tidbit of things, and I will just like use this as a footnote. The researchers noted that the original magnesium-rich chlorophyll would have been green, but since it's been underground for so long that it basically turned into a pinkish hue today.
Oh, well, this brings on a topic of debate. Because doesn't that mean that the oldest color would technically be a green color?
Yes, but the one that was found was pink. And so that was like the caveat to it. But the one that they're saying was that color. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know why, but it's funny that it was either pink or green, and that's like Cosmo and Wanda.
Fairly Odd Parents into this. I haven't seen that show since I was like
Me
probably
either.
12.
Yeah. No, yeah. Me either. It's been a while since I've seen that
You
show.
ever see the Cosmo and Wanda memes?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
the
like,
pink
you're
and
not
green.
being sneaky.
It's like, oh, I'm on to you, Cosmo.
I see
There's
you.
like a pink and green balloon in the middle of like a train or something.
Right. It's like, you're not being sneaky.
That's so funny.
Oh, man. A big reason why we should care about this is because it demonstrates that certain biomolecules can resist the relentless pressures of deep time preserving chemical traces, and that basically gives us a glimpse into much younger rocks that existed on Earth like 1 billion years ago, literally. And so prior to this, the oldest biological color was 600 million years ago. And so this literally doubles the oldest record that we know, and looking like for colors and like even just just the oldest biological color. And so I was also looking into that, like, what does it mean to have a biological color and like what that is exactly?
Yeah.
And it's basically the way that a living creature responds to sunlight. And so in humans, that would be like melanin or like skin tone in a way, or like freckles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Or sunburn.
Or sunburn. But yeah, and like in plants, it would be chlorophyll, which is green.
Yeah.
Which is, in this case, it was, but turned pink. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But these really tell an ecological story. It confirms that cyanobacteria, tiny photosynthesizing bacteria, dominated the oceanic primary production during the mid-Proterozoic era. And so this was when this thing existed, was during the Proterozoic era.
Now, are they thinking like a plant, like a bush, or is this like a coral reef type situation? Because this has to be, in my mind, underwater.
It is a group of autotrophic gram-negative bacteria that obtains biological energy via oxygenic photosynthesis. Basically is like algae, essentially.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that, I guess I could see that.
Yeah.
You know what? Full circle. Because like, well, not really full circle. This is a tangent. But, you know flamingos?
Yeah.
You know how they're pink?
Yeah.
You know how they get that color?
No.
They eat a specific kind of algae, and it
Really?
like coats their feathers pink.
Whoa.
Yeah, when they're born, they're white.
What? I did know that.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's really cool.
Yeah, but they turn pink because of the food that they eat. It's a specific type of algae that they eat, I think.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff fascinates me. I was obsessed with the History Channel and Discovery Channel back before it was like, what's it called? Reality TV.
Like Duck Dynasty.
Yeah,
kind of
and
vibe.
there's so many other ones.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was, so it was a type of algae that was deep in the Earth's mantle, like going very, very far down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at one point it was on the surface.
Exactly.
Like, put that in perspective.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy, like the amount of dirt and sand and silt and clay and all that just kind of piles up over millions of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I thought that was really fascinating. This is the oldest biological color to ever exist.
Well, that is very cool. And it's fun to know that I turn into the most biological color when the sun hits me for a little too long.
Yep, you're the same color as this algae.
That's fun. We have something in common.
Yeah. So my stories are a little shorter, but I don't know. I thought that was really fascinating.
No, that's super cool. I love it.
All right, bring us home.
All right, I got you. So, kind of sticking with colors.
Okay.
I want to talk about art.
Okay.
Specifically, I want to talk about Andy Warhol.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, today today on July 9th, 1962, he unveiled his iconic Campbell's Soup Cans exhibit.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to be completely frank, I did not really know a lot about Andy Warhol.
I honestly don't know very much about him either, actually.
Yeah, so I'll cover the exhibit a little bit, and then I'll go into his backstory, because it's honestly pretty incredible. The original reason that I picked this story was mainly because I saw how much these paintings were worth, and I was like, that's insane. So I dug into it, and then I ended up going down this rabbit hole about Andy Warhol, and honestly being really inspired by what he stood for. And I'll get into like the other artists that he's inspired over the years, some of which you know, some of which a lot of people know.
Yeah.
And it's super cool. So, on July 9th, 1962.
July.
I know, I said that real weird. At the Ferris Gallery in Los Angeles, the original exhibition of Warhol's 32 Campbell Soup Cans premiered. This exhibition was Andy Warhol's first solo painting show.
Wow.
And it marked the West Coast debut of pop art, which became a defining moment for both the art movement and Warhol's career.
He debuted that?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
It was the first solo exhibit that he did.
I mean, but like pop art, that's still prevalent today.
He basically pioneered it, I think.
Whoa.
He was one of, and I think what made him so famous is because he really depicted modern America, like consumerism and that kind of thing. And he really kind of shook the boundaries between the high end of art and the low end of art, I guess. Well, now let me reword that. It's more so like, I think he was tired of seeing art as like this high and mighty thing that you have to be exclusive to, you know? And so he wanted to shake that up and be like,
art's for everyone.
Yeah, I'm just going to paint these everyday items that normal people can relate to.
Right.
And I'm going to kind of shake up the art scene because...
For sure. Because I feel like up until then it was like Renaissance paintings and like all fancy people sitting on like a leather couch kind of vibe.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting is when people do this, and I'll get into another story about this with a different artist and also with Andy Warhol's paintings, but what's really interesting to me is that every once in a while, maybe every couple of years or so, an artist comes along and they just shake up the art world in some way.
Yeah.
And all these people that are at the high end top that are like, you can't be doing that. That is not art.
Right.
You can't be a part of this high mighty club that we're a part of. And then all of a sudden, those same people turn around and they're like, I'll pay like $8 million for that piece of art.
Yeah.
And it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
And I'll get into a story about something that I read this morning, but I'm going to stick it with Andy Warhol for now. But anyway, the exhibit featured 32 canvases, each depicting a different flavor of Campbell's soup, one for each variety available at the time. Warhol hand-painted these pieces using commercial imagery to create fine art. The exhibit caused a stir and sparked debate within the art world, and some questioning whether the commercial subject matter was appropriate for art.
Yes, it is. Anything can be art.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like that makes it so snooty.
Right? And I think, I don't know, it's just an interesting world to be not really a part of, but like it's an interesting world to see from the outside.
For sure.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I agree. I think art should be for everyone. Sure. Art is up to everybody's discretion.
Yeah.
You want to spend X amount of dollars on a painting?
Absolutely.
Go for it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, who cares? If it makes you happy, do it. Yeah.
Right.
If you enjoy painting art, do it. If you enjoy being in the community, do it. But like, why should someone be able to gatekeep that?
Absolutely.
Based on their status.
I completely agree.
You know?
It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah. And I think that's what Andy Warhol was trying to do, is just be like,
no, everyone should be able to do this.
Yeah, it does not need to be this high and mighty thing. Just enjoy your life, find value in it.
Yeah.
And that's what he was doing, and I love that.
That's amazing.
However, the Campbell soup can paintings from this exhibit would prove to go down in history as one of the greatest works, if not the defining pieces of his career. Warhol was fascinated by post-war American consumerism and mass production. The soup cans perfectly capture this interest by portraying a familiar, ubiquitous product. By choosing an accessible subject, Warhol made art more relatable and approachable to a wider audience, breaking down the perceived barriers between high art and everyday life. The simplicity and boldness of the soup cans have made them an instant recognizable piece and enduring cultural icons.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that I've seen in all art classes I've taken, and like people talk about that as, I mean, Andy Warhol is like a household name. Like everyone knows that.
You know what's interesting? I didn't know he was really an art. Like I knew he was an artist.
Sure.
But I did not know how big of an artist he was. I knew him more as a producer.
He's a producer.
Yeah, he produced a couple things. Yeah, so there was a couple feature-length and short films that he was known to have produced. One of which was The Chelsea Girls, Lonesome Cowboys, and Trash, all around 1966 to 1970. And
Trash? That's
I didn't.
Nice.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know any of the movies.
Sure.
But I do remember hearing his name as a producer / director. And I knew he was in the art world, but I did not know he was as big as he is.
I had no idea he was a producer. I would always known him as an artist.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So yeah, he did quite a bit of other things besides the art, but his art is what makes him stand out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The Campbell soup paintings in particular have amassed a huge price since their inception. The painting named Small Torn Campbell Soup Can Pepper Pot sold for $11.8 million in 2006.
Whoa.
And that was just one of the 32 Campbell soup paintings.
Oh my God.
But that is not the most expensive painting he has done.
Oh my God. That's crazy. How much is the most expensive one?
The most expensive piece of art that Andy Warhol has ever sold at an auction is the Shot Sage Blue Marilyn. It's a silk screening of Marilyn Monroe. Actually, I think the original was a painting, but he did also do a silk screening of it. That's kind of what he was known for, his silk screening, to get his paintings out faster.
Gotcha.
A lot of people in the high-end art world saw that as kind of like a, you don't do that kind of thing.
Sure.
You should paint all of your paintings, but he just wanted to get his art out to people and mass produce, which
everyone can enjoy it.
Yeah, of course. So anyway, Shot Sage Blue Marilyn. It sold for a record-breaking $195 million at Christie's in New York on May 2022. So fairly recently, only 3 years ago. $195 million.
Wow.
I want you to think about that number. Imagine how many things you could pay for with just this painting.
How big was it? Do you know?
It wasn't that big. It was like a normal size painting. I mean, I don't know the size of the canvases, but I've seen this picture before.
Yeah, no, I have too.
Yeah, it's a very famous picture.
For sure. We will post it to the Instagram.
Yeah, for sure. But $195 million.
That's crazy.
I just thought that was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But this makes it the most expensive 20th century artwork ever sold at a public auction and the most expensive artwork by a U.S. artist ever sold at an auction.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's wild.
I think it's just like the thrill of having a unique product, like the very first of something,
For sure.
or something owned by someone famous, and like just that notoriety you gain from having this thing. And I think people pay top dollar just for that.
Yeah.
But I saw that number and I was like, wow.
The amount of things you can get for that is wild. Like, not just like a couple million. 195
almost
million.
$200 million.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Whoa. I can't even fathom that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I think about that in terms of our house.
It's just a lot. It's a lot of our houses.
That's
a lot of our house.
You could buy, so our house, you could buy 9 of our houses with $1 million.
Wow.
And then times that by
195.
So whatever that math is. So 9 times 195. Is that even right? That just sounds insane. You could buy our house 1,755 times.
That's a lot. That's crazy.
I hope that math is right, because that doesn't make sense to me, but like...
I mean, it's just unfathomable.
It's crazy, but anyway, like I thought that was... Yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to move on. So, yeah, that is his most expensive painting. That is the most expensive painting ever sold at an auction, and that was only 3 years ago.
Wow.
So we're bound to see higher numbers at some point in the future.
Sure. Yeah.
Andy Warhol, born Andrew Warhol Jr., was an American...
That's cool.
Warhol, yeah. Huh. That was his last name. Was an American visual artist, film director, and producer who is considered a leading figure in pop art movement and one of the most influential American artists of the latter half of the 20th century. Warhol revolutionized the art world by bringing everyday objects and mass-produced consumer goods into the realm of fine art. He embraced popular culture, advertisements, and celebrities as subjects for his work, using techniques like silk screening printing to replicate and mass-produce his images.
Good for him. I mean, yeah, being able to bring it to the masses, because I feel like typically, I mean, I'm sure in that day, it was very much like it was the one and that was it, and there wasn't any other copies.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people kind of critiqued him for that move, and he really just wanted to share his art.
Good, yeah. And that opened the doors for other people to be able to do the same, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used his work to critique consumerism, mass production in America, and the pervasive influence that celebrity culture and fame had on society. He challenged the traditional art world by effectively blurring the lines between high and low culture. He changed the at least nature of art and suggested that it should be for everyone. His work continues to provoke discussions about art, society, and the role of mass media. Even today.
Yeah, absolutely, even today. Like I said, I mean, I knew his name in art classes that I've taken, like, as far back as like middle school or high school.
Yeah, well, he's a predominant figure. I didn't really take a whole lot of art classes, so I wasn't really involved in that. I don't even really know where I first heard his name, but I knew his name.
Yeah.
Like I knew who he was to a degree.
Sure.
But did not know how influential he was in the art world.
For sure.
And it was like you were saying, like you took art. I think anybody that's taken any type of art class or focuses on art in particular, I think Andy Warhol is definitely a name that comes up.
For sure, yeah.
Andy Warhol's pop art paintings, while seemingly simple or even controversial at first glance, conveyed a range of insightful suggestions about the world around him. Warhol's work explored themes of fame, consumerism, mortality, and identity in a media-saturated society. He also incorporated personal themes like his Catholic faith and openly expressed his queer identity through his work.
Amazing.
Warhol's open expression of his sexuality, especially in a time when it was not widely accepted, made him an icon within the LGBTQ+ community and had a profound impact on the art and pop culture scene.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I had no idea he was gay or queer.
I didn't know that either, but he was very open about it. Like I said, full disclosure, I didn't know a whole lot about Andy Warhol, but he was fully open about it, even in a time when it was not accepted.
Yeah.
Like he just lived his life how he wanted to by his own rules. I actually saw pictures of him. He dressed in drag too.
Hell yeah.
He was very open about it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and so like it's very much a person that's really showcasing like just do what you want.
Yeah.
Be comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
And don't let the outside world affect you, even though, it's crazy.
Yeah.
The world is crazy. It's been crazy for centuries.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't look like it's going to slow down. So
sure.
it's a nice reminder that, like, you can just be yourself.
Yeah. Do your thing. Yeah. Seems like the theme of your topics this time around.
Yeah, it's very fascinating stuff. A lot of cool stuff happened on July 9th.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of gravitated towards this kind of thing. Like, just do the things that
make you happy, and like just do it without
go against the grain.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just like make a move.
Yeah.
As long as you're not hurting anybody else.
Right.
Do that thing.
I feel like that might be the episode title, Go Against the Grain.
I like that.
Yeah.
Going against the grain. Warhol's influence extends far beyond art, impacting fashion, music, advertising, and pop culture. He challenged traditional art forms and inspired future generations of artists to push the boundaries of creativity. And this is where I wanted to get into other artists.
Yeah.
Specifically Banksy.
Oh, yeah.
Banksy has been inspired by Warhol's work in particular.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And though Warhol, his approach is very subtle in the consumerism of America and society as a whole, Banksy is very upfront about what he thinks about society. So though the two kind of share their same approach, the artists use their work to comment and critique various societal issues. Warhol's commentary was subtle, reflecting the trends of his time. Banksy, on the other hand, is known for his more direct and confrontational approach to society and political issues.
Absolutely. Both are, effective in their own ways. And I feel like they're both able to do them really well. And at the same time, bringing the media's attention to them, which is like really amplifying the what they're trying to talk about and like what the message is. And they both do it very, very well.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And Banksy, like, is well aware of, the topic that I was talking about earlier, how, like, a painting, like, somebody comes along, Banksy, for example.
Sure.
And he starts gaining traction for whatever reason. But the people that are elitists in the art community see him and are like, that isn't art, that's trash, you're spray painting on buildings, that's criminal activity, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden, his name gets really big.
Yep.
Everybody knows him.
Yep.
Those same people are like, I'll pay millions of dollars for that.
Because of the name.
And that exact thing happened at an auction. If you
look, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's called Love is in the Bin.
Yeah.
Someone bought that painting. I forgot what the amount was, but it was a lot. It was millions. And Banksy was the one who pushed a button.
Yep.
And that painting shredded right in front of the person who bought it.
Literally right after they bought it.
And you know what's ironic about that?
Huh.
After that happened, that painting sold for even more money.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that part of the story.
Yep. And that just perfectly reflects my point, is that, like, art is subjective.
Oh, for sure.
And no matter who thinks there should be a gate kept, doesn't matter. Eventually that gate gets broken and somebody's like, I'll pay even more for that.
Right. And then other people will follow suit, and then next you know, it's like bidding wars.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's just crazy how it works.
I had no idea it was sold for more after it was shredded. I know. I think I've seen the video where it was shredded.
I did.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool. That was one of the coolest things in the art community that I've seen in recent times.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
what
anyway.
a statement, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, getting back to Andy Warhol. So, in 1968, an assassination attempt on Warhol happened.
Really?
Where he was shot and seriously injured by Valerie Solanas. Oh. She was a radical feminist writer. He survived, but it severely impacted his life.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So he ended up contributing his focus on other business ventures and a deeper exploration of themes like death and mortality in his work.
Wow.
So this had a profound effect on him, which it would anybody.
Totally.
I mean, like, he almost died. He was shot 3 times.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And he survived.
He survived that, yeah.
That's crazy. Good. Wow.
Yeah, and I didn't write it down, but through my research, it sounded like Valerie was kind of suffering from schizophrenia, and she believed that Warhol was stealing her work.
Oh.
Yeah, and so she just took it into her own hands and tried to kill him, basically.
Whoa.
And I believe she got arrested, and I believe she went to jail for a long time. I didn't get into that too much.
Yeah.
But regardless, Andy Warhol was almost assassinated because of his work.
Oh my God.
By somebody. And
Wow.
This is also, again, this is in a time where, like, he is openly gay, and not that he was almost assassinated because of this, but he is in a situation where, like, people could see that the wrong way.
For sure.
And, like, take it into their own hands. And, like, he was bold enough to not deter that.
Yeah.
Like, he was bold enough to not hide that from anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's extremely scary, first of all.
Especially with the stance that he had in the public eye. It's like he very well could have, like, had that part of himself, like, behind closed doors, but he decided to, like, be completely proud of who he was, which is amazing.
It is amazing, but it's also, like, that's terrifying.
Oh, my God,
like,
totally.
That's a scary place. It's scary even, not as much now, but I can't really say for sure. I'm not in that group, but, like, it's still scary from, like, the people that I know that are, you know, gay or or trans or anything. Like, it's a scary society to be in, to be different in that way.
And then put on top of that, like, you're trying to shake up the whole art industry for something that has been the case for hundreds of years.
Exactly. Yeah, that's I guess that's what I'm really trying to say. Like, not only was he pushing boundaries with, like, the art community and, you know, people were kind of, like, going against him, but he was also gaining a lot of attention in, like, a positive way.
For sure.
But there were also people that didn't like him for those reasons.
Right.
And, like, that's a scary time to be in.
Yeah. But I mean, that also kind of goes to show from your original message what you were saying of, like, do what you want to do completely, like, the way that you want to do it. Because there's always going to be naysayers on the other side, like, bringing you down.
Yeah, for sure. And, like, I think that's the biggest takeaway here is, like, you just go for it. Just do the thing that makes you happy. Do the thing that you want to do. As long as you're not hurting anybody else.
Yep.
Have at it.
Absolutely.
Warhol's legacy is preserved through the Andy Warhol Foundation for the Visual Arts and the Andy Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh, the largest museum dedicated to a single artist in the U.S. His work continues to be highly sought after in the art market, with several of his paintings setting records for the most expensive ever sold. And that's Andy Warhol in a nutshell.
Wow.
So it all started with the Campbell soup cans today in 1962.
Wow, that's incredible. Good for him. I mean, I hate that he got shot 3 times, but regardless, it's like he was breaking boundaries and, like, just going against the grain and doing what he wanted to do. And so that's really amazing. Yeah.
I think I'm going to take a shot every time you say breaking boundaries.
Breaking boundaries, man!
Every episode. I love it. Cute. But yeah, I thought those stories were an incredible reminder to go after your dreams.
Yes.
Do what makes you happy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Go against the grain, and yep, that's about it. So.
All right. Well, we hope you keep listening.
Yeah. We're having a lot of fun doing this, and we're going to keep doing this. We're trying to release every Wednesday. So far, we've been on a good stretch. So.
Yeah. Share with your friends.
Keep that going.
Share with your family.
Yeah.
Share with your neighbors.
And if you're listening, please give us feedback. We'd love to hear from you guys. We'd love to...
Yeah, let us know what we can do better. Let us know if there's any topics you'd like us to cover. Yeah,
we want to start doing polls at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe get a Patreon going.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's been in the talks. So we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah. All right, yeah.
This has been Today in Years Past. If you want to reach us on email, you can do that at
yearspastpodcast@gmail.com.
Or if you want to reach us on Instagram and you want to see some of the stories that we've covered today, you can do that at
Today in Years Past.
This has been Today in Years Past. My name is Michael.
My name is Sarika.
And we hope you have a great rest of your week. We will see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Bye.
See you guys.